All right. Good morning, boys and girls. We made it through another week. Happy Friday. All right. Today is April 3rd, 2020. All right. Today we're talking about solving equations. All right. And if you remember, for the longest time, we were doing these equations with the algebra tiles. So I'm going to come up with two equations off the top of my head. I'm going to show you with the tiles, and then I'm going to show you the computation, okay? So the only thing is I don't have the actual tiles, so I'm just going to draw the x, okay? So for our first equation, I'm going to do x plus 3 equals 6, okay? So let me set that up. So we got our x. Remember, it was a green x, okay? Now, remember, the tiles that we had were red and yellow, right? And if you remember, a yellow equals +1 and a red equals -1, all right? So now this equals 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right? So the whole goal of this is to isolate our x. We need to find what x is equal to. So to isolate our x, we must get rid of this right here, our 3 yellows. All right? So how do I undo a yellow? If you remember, we would just put a red underneath, right? Because 1 minus 1 is 0. That's gone, right? So now we just balance the scale. Remember, how many times have I said balance the scale, right? If you minus 3 reds here, you minus 3 reds there. Okay? So now these get wiped. We're just left with x. All right? Remember, each one matches up because 1 minus 1 is 0. So this is gone, and this is gone. So I'm left with x equals 3. Okay? So now I can double check my work. If x equals 3, this x becomes 3. Is 3 plus 3 6? It is. So once you say that, you know that your answer is correct, okay? So that is the tile method. Now, let me show you the computation. X plus 3 equals 6, okay? Remember, plus 3, right? Again, it's the same concept as the tiles. We have to undo plus 3. So what's the opposite of adding 3? I hear you all saying subtracting 3. Right? Now we just have to balance the scale again. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Okay? So I'm subtracting 3 on this side too. All right? This cancels out. I get left with x. Don't forget to bring down your equal sign. The 6 minus 3 is 3. All right? So look, if you remember, and if you notice, we got the same answer for each. All right? So that's how you know you're correct. Okay? Plug it in. 3 plus 3 is 6. Okay? So I want to show you one more. All right, let's do 2x equals 4. Okay, this one's a little different now because what am I doing? The 2 and the x, what are they doing? Right? They're multiplying, right? I could write it like this. I could write it also like this. Okay, 2x equals 4. All right? So let's set it up. 2x equals 4. Okay? So the whole goal of this was to find out what one of these x's equal. So what do we do with that? We just split them up into groups. Equal groups. That's what we want, equal groups. So I'm going to split these two up, okay? I got one group and I got 2 groups. So now I'm going to split them up, okay? I got one group of x and I got 2 groups of x, okay? So since I'm splitting this up into 2 groups, do you know why I'm splitting it up into 2 groups? Because I only have 2 x's. If I had 4 x's, I'd be splitting into 4. If I had 5 x's, I'd be splitting into 5, right? But in this case, we're just splitting into 2. So we do the same thing with our chips here. I'm splitting them into 2 equal groups. So match it up. Match it up. So what does this tell me? X equals 2. All right? Now check your work. X equals 2. Let's plug it into our first equation. So if x equals 2, that x becomes 2. So does 2 times 2 equals 4? Oh, you know it does. And that means you know you're right. Okay? So I'm just going to show you this with the computation. Okay? Bear with me. We're going to do one more. All right? I'm just going to show you the same thing. 2x equals 4. Okay? So how many x's do I have here? I got 2. I got 4 here, right? So I need to turn this into 2 different groups. So because I'm multiplying, right, I need to undo the multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication? It's division. So I'm just going to divide. And since I have to get this x alone, I'm going to divide by 2. Right? You're not guessing what number you're dividing by or multiplying by, because whatever number is with the variable, whether it be attached with multiplication, whether it be in the numerator or denominator with division, or whether it be x minus or x plus, you always have a number there. Okay? So in this case, I got 2. Don't forget the golden rule. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Right? These cancel out. So now I'm left with x equals, was 4 divided by 2 is 2. Just like we got before. Remember Spider-Man meme? We're pointing at each other because they're correct. So we just double check our work. If x equals 2, this x becomes 2. So let's see. 2 times 2 equals 4. Does 2 times 2 equal 4? It does. So that's how you know you're correct. All right? If you have any questions, please drop them in the Google Classroom. Please have a great weekend, and please stay safe.